Attention passionate Montreal, Canadiens fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the Atlantic Division and it could shake up the entire conference. We're talking about a direct impact on Montreal Canadiens' path to another Stanley Cup run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Montreal Canadiens fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Montreal Canadiens fans. Let's get to the news. So folks, we find ourselves in a truly intriguing moment in the NHL, especially when it comes to our beloved Canadiens. Today, the news is buzzing around the waiver wire. And let me tell you, it's not just filler. This is about potential game changers. Options that could shape the team's future in ways we haven't seen in quite a while. 8 players have been placed on waivers today, and among them, there are some names that definitely catch the eye, especially for us fans who follow the Canadiens closely. This isn't just a routine roster shuffle, it's a strategic move that might open some interesting doors for Montreal. First, let's talk about the list itself. We have Ivan Fedotov, a towering 6'7" goaltender who's played 29 NHL games. Fedotov's size alone makes him an interesting prospect, especially considering the Canadiens' recent goalie depth questions. Then there's Liam Foudy, a 25-year-old forward known for his speed and agility. He was a first-round pick of the Columbus Blue Jackets in 2018, picked 18th overall, and has accumulated 22 points over 104 NHL games. Last season, he was impressive in the AHL, tallying 45 points. Foudy's speed and offensive potential could be a real asset for Montreal, especially if they're looking to add some quickness and scoring punch to their lines. But what really has the hockey world talking is Julian Gauthier. Here's a player who's not just physically imposing, but also has a track record of scoring and physicality. Standing 6'4" and weighing 225 pounds, Gauthier was a first-round pick of the Carolina Hurricanes in 2016, 21st overall. Over his NHL career, he's managed to put up 41 points in 181 games. Last season in the AHL, he scored 8 points in just 9 games, showing that he's still got offensive upside and the size to make a real impact. For the Canadiens, a team that's always looking for depth and physicality, Gauthier could be a very intriguing option, especially if they're considering bolstering their forward lines with someone who can bring both grit and scoring. And then there's Ivan Fedotov, the 28-year-old goalie who's 6'7", a real giant between the pipes. Despite his size and talent, he's only played 29 NHL games so far. The fact that he's been placed on waivers might open a door for Montreal, a team that's been searching for reliable goaltending options. Remember, the Canadiens have been balancing their goaltending situation between Jake Allen and Samuel Montembeault, but adding a tall, talented goalie like Fedotov could shake things up, or at least provide some much-needed competition and depth. Now, you might be wondering, what does this mean for the Canadiens right now? Well, first, the team is facing a lot of questions about their roster composition, especially with recent injuries and the need to evaluate younger players' development. With the waiver wire action, GM Kent Hughes and the coaching staff have a chance to bring in some fresh talent, or at least create some internal competition that can push the guys already on the roster. It's a smart move in a season where every point matters, and depth can be the difference between making the playoffs and watching from home. It's also worth noting that the waiver list includes some names from our division rivals, like Liam Foudy from the Islanders and Julian Gauthier from the Islanders too, along with others from teams like Washington and Arizona. But the focus for us is on the potential of Gauthier and Fedotov, players who could slot into the Canadiens lineup if claimed. And let's be honest, for fans who have been eager to see some new blood, this could be a game changer. Gauthier, with his physical presence and scoring ability, could bring some much-needed size and grit to the Canadiens' forward lines, especially on the third and fourth lines, where physicality and speed are often game-deciding factors. Now, moving beyond just these names, it's important to remember that the Canadiens have been in a bit of a rebuilding phase, but one that's showing promising signs. The team's recent draft picks, like David Reinbacher, who unfortunately suffered a fractured bone, have shown that the organization is committed to adding size and skill to their core. The addition of players like Gauthier or Foudy could help fill some of those gaps, especially if they're able to develop further within the Canadiens system. And speaking of development, the Canadiens have been investing heavily in their young prospects, and this waiver activity might also be a signal that they're exploring all options, not just from their farm system, but from other teams as well. It's a strategic move, trying to find players who can step in and contribute immediately, especially in a season where every game counts more than ever. The Atlantic Division is fierce, with teams like Boston, Toronto, and Tampa Bay all vying for supremacy, so Montreal needs to be aggressive in their roster management. Now, I want to pause here for a second. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YOUTUBE algorithm to keep recommending the latest Montreal Canadiens news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal, because folks, this isn't just about adding players on paper. It's about the message it sends, that the Canadiens are serious about competing, about improving, and about building a team that can contend in a tough division. Whether they claim Gauthier or Fedotov or not, the moves on the waiver wire highlight a team that's trying to be proactive, not reactive. That's something every Canadiens fan should be excited about, especially with the team's recent performances and the potential we see in some of the young guns. Looking at the broader picture, this move also plays into the ongoing narrative of the Canadiens season. The team's core, including players like Arbor Xhekaj, who has been making headlines with his physical play, is still young and developing. The recent announcement of a big last-minute change involving Xhekaj and the speculation about whether he's played his last game in Montreal adds layers to this story. It's a reminder that the Canadiens are still in a phase of transition, trying to find the right mix of veteran leadership and youthful energy. The fans are also buzzing about the recent performance of players like Kent Hughes, the general manager, who's been under pressure to make bold moves. Hughes has been aggressive on the waiver wire, making strategic decisions to bolster the roster. His recent actions, including placing 5 players on waivers, show a team that's not afraid to shake things up, a team that's willing to take risks to improve. And with the trade deadline approaching, these waiver moves could very well be precursors to bigger, more impactful trades or signings. As for the players involved, it's worth mentioning that Connor Ingram, the goaltender from the Arizona Coyotes, was not claimed off waivers, which means he remains in the Coyotes system. This could be a small victory for Montreal, as they might still be in the hunt for a reliable backup or third-string goalie to support Samuel Montembeault. The goaltending position has been a topic of discussion for the Canadiens for quite some time, and these waiver moves highlight how serious they are about finding the right fit. Now, circling back to Gauthier, the potential acquisition of a player like him makes sense for several reasons. His size and physicality align perfectly with the Canadiens' style of play, especially under head coach Martin St. Louis, who emphasizes speed, grit, and smart physical play. Gauthier's scoring ability, coupled with his physical presence, could be exactly what Montreal needs to add some punch to their bottom six. Plus, with his experience of 181 NHL games, he's not just a young prospect. He's a player who understands what it takes to compete at this level. And with Foudy, the question is whether the Canadiens see him as a potential future top 6 forward or more as a versatile depth option. His speed and offensive numbers in the AHL suggest he has the potential to develop into a more significant contributor, especially if given the right environment. Montreal has always valued speed and skill, and Foudy's profile fits that mold perfectly. Let's not forget that the Canadiens are also focusing on their long-term development. The recent injury to David Reinbacher is a setback, but it also emphasizes the necessity of having options. Players like Gauthier or Foudy could step in and fill those gaps, giving the team flexibility and depth as they navigate the season's ups and downs. It's these strategic moves that can be the difference between a playoff push and a season of rebuilding. In conclusion, these waiver moves might seem routine on the surface, but they are anything but. They reflect a team that's actively trying to improve, that's looking for hidden gems, and that's eager to make a statement in a highly competitive division. The addition of players like Gauthier and Foudy or even the possibility of Fedotov, could have ripple effects that influence the Canadiens' trajectory for months to come. As fans, we should be watching closely because every move, every signing, every waiver claim is part of a bigger picture, a picture of a team that's hungry to compete, to grow, and to bring a Stanley Cup back to Montreal. And now, Montreal Canadiens fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this waiver activity? Do you think claiming Julian Gauthier would be a smart move? Or do you see other options that could benefit the team more? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Canadiens. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates. So stay tuned for the latest Montreal Canadiens news, because this season is far from over and the best is yet to come.